the founder and CEO of Ameya Games, Aditya Kolli. What specific moment made you realize textbooks alone are not everything?
They want to be engaged,
Entertained.
in that 1 hour or like 30 or 40 minutes of classroom time. They want to be fully engaged, and that's how learning also starts building. Engagement comes in multiple formats, right? Like it could be a quiz, it could be like you're making them part of a role play, it could be a game.
What drove you to take that leap?
50% of the class could not write their name in English. Classroom fights are breaking in, kids are punching themselves in the face. That's when you realize that this is not working. You have to do something different. What is it that you can do?
And what is that one challenge you believe that people outside the industry will never be able to accept or relate to? Welcome back to another episode of the Little Text podcast. I have with me an educator by heart, an entrepreneur by mission. Please join me in welcoming the founder and CEO of Ameya Games, Aditya Kolli. Aditya, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Firstly, let me just take a little bit of a background about you. You are a faculty in a government school.
So yes, I worked as a fellow as part of this fellowship called Teach for India. It's a nationwide fellowship. It's present across multiple cities across India. It's 2-year fellowship where young graduates and working class professionals who are interested in the field of education, who want to bring in some grassroots level change or to get a better understanding of the education system, they apply for that fellowship. There is a selection process. They get in.
From teaching in government schools to designing a hit digital game and now creating physical toys. If you had to connect the dots, right, what's the common thread that you think that ties all of your journey together in the best way possible?
So I actually thought about this question, and the dots connect only back once you start looking backwards.
Steve Jobs narrative.
So when I started, I did not know that after getting the classroom experience, I would then become like a game designer and design mobile learning games. I did not know while I was designing those games that I would one day start a toys and games company. So it was more of a forward journey rather than a backward journey. As in so if I had to pick one theme that really connects all of these three, that would be something entrepreneurial that I wanted to do right from day one. Rather, the question was, what is it that I did not want to do that drove me towards these choices? So at least when I completed college and once I started looking for different opportunities, jobs and everything, at that time, I did not really fully understand the privilege that I had, completing college, having a college degree 10, 12 years back. That's actually a dream for majority of Indians. Even to this day.
Yes, right? Yes, I agree.
For me at that point, that was a revelation. So I could not understand, so there is such a disparity. I've been in my own little bubble saying, okay, this is what I finished my college. We are always trained to be in certain tracks, right? Engineering, doctor, law, medicine, etc. To get a job.
Yes.
But once you realize that, there is a majority of the population which doesn't even have a basic college degree. So that was a point I feel where I felt, something is off. Something is off, and okay, now let's look into what's happening. I have this privilege, but a lot of India doesn't.
Right.
And I'm trying to, I wasn't, that was more like a watershed moment for me, where I said, okay, let's see what I can do in this particular piece of the puzzle, where I could contribute something towards nation building. That was the whole thought process back then, after once I finished college. So I wanted to do something, and there is a huge gap in what my idea of India was and what reality was. And you're actually trained. You're trained as a teacher to anticipate a lot of these things. So, but what you do after that? So now you have a situation where when I walked in, at least the first day of me walking into the government school classroom, I did like a basic quiz. So I taught grades 3 and 4.
Oh,
Grade 3 and the same class in grade 4. So grade 3 English medium classroom, take a guess how many kids would have been able to write their name in English
in a government school.
in a government school.
About say 10%.
So then 50% of the class could not write their name in English.
Oh, then it's much better than what I anticipated.
Good, yeah. We had,
Yeah.
and it also shows us, goes on to show the kind of expectations that they have from
Exactly, it's a government school. Yeah.
So there, what that clearly shows is there is a skill gap.
Right.
Writing your name in English is something that a nursery grade kid should be able to do that.
At this nursery grade 1.
And I have, fellows like us, we have 2 years to fill that gap. That's a challenge.
Right. I'm sure it's a massive challenge to start with.
That is where you actually kick into overdrive and you do as much as you can to help that class.
Right.
That's where like a lot of personal transformation comes in.
Right.
And I'm sure like a lot of other Teach for India fellows also would agree that they really find a lot of grounding in the 2 years.
Yeah.
Working with a lot of challenges.
Absolutely. I've seen that. I've seen that with my own network of friends and circle that I've seen. The kind of humility you generate after you accept something that is very close to reality, but something that is aspirational for us as entrepreneurs, as you as an entrepreneur, to have chosen to take that career by itself is a huge deal. Right? Like you said, the first day when you went in and you wanted to analyze this 50% only, what specific moment made you realize that textbooks alone are not everything? Because at the end of the day, your government school, forget government schools, for
Any school for that.
any school, for example, the minute you get the textbook, for you to get familiarize yourself with what's there and what context is that subject being taught on is very, very difficult, right? So what was that one moment that made you realize that play is a better textbook than what you have as a physical textbook? What was that one point that you felt?
So this is almost like, and the beauty of working with kids is that this is a feedback that you get almost every single hour, right? So when I first walked in, and in those initial days where I was trying to find my feet on the ground as a teacher, one of the days, like I was going and doing my thing, standing beside the blackboard, writing something down, expecting the kids to understand. But what I would actually get is, kids who are seated in the last, fighting with each other.
Right.
Classroom fights are breaking in.
Right.
Kids are, punching themselves in the face.
Oh.
Blood falling on the ground. Oh, teeth breaking. Or kids who are like really naughty, trying to coming and standing behind me, making fun in front while I was turning. While my back was turned towards the class, some naughty kid would come behind me and try to do some gestures,
Right.
Make some funny poses, and make the classroom laugh and immediately
Distracting the class.
Distracting the class.
No, I wouldn't say discipline. There's no awareness of how controlled education is supposed to be perceived.
No, none of this is actually true. Like kids want only one thing. They want to be engaged,
Entertained.
in that 1 hour or like 30 or 40 minutes of classroom time. They want to be fully engaged.
Yeah.
Now, if you do it in the regular way, right, like you are trying to ask them to take down some notes, pay attention, you are giving oral instructions. It's a very teacher-driven model. Like one instructor-led classrooms.
Yeah.
So what happens in these classrooms is interests goes down the drain. These are usually not very interesting models. Right? Now, what do you have to do to get that 60-odd kids' attention for that 30 minutes? You have to survive as a teacher for that 30 or 40 minutes. So to do that, you really have to put on a show. Like you really have to get their interest. You have to engage them in multiple ways. Like if it's an English classroom, right? You can't say, Aditya went to the forest to find something and he found something else. No, you really have to build that story and open up that imagination for the kid so that he's engaged in that conversation, right? Like he is following what the character in the story is doing. Oh, so it's forest. Is it day or night?
Right.
What's happening? Is he tiptoeing? Are there any animals around? We'll have to sort of visualize it for them.
Right.
And then they're suddenly coming on that journey with you.
Right.
Then the classroom falls quiet. Like it really falls quiet, and everybody is paying attention to you. And that's when you start engaging them even further. Okay, so what could be the character's motivation for going into the forest? True.
Yeah.
So then you start taking them into the journey, and that's where you teach them, okay, this is what it is. Now, engagement comes in multiple formats, right? Like it could be a quiz. It could be like you're making them part of a role play. It could be a game.
Right.
Right. So the core is engagement. The format might vary, but the core is that you have to engage the kid fundamentally. That's where he or she will want to learn, or like go ahead and see, okay, where is this taking me? That's where curiosity kicks in naturally, and that's how learning also starts building.
Oh, nice.
That's how you do it. Like, and the format could be anything. It could be a card game. It could be a video game. It could be a puzzle. It could be, as I said, like a role play. It could be an industrial visit. It can take any shape and form. As long as the kid is engaged, he will get an outcome out of it.
Right.
That's when I understood the initial classroom days. Once you pick, if I had to point out one moment, the day when I understood that, kids are not paying attention to me, and that happens almost every single day for a lot of teachers.
Right.
That's when you realize that this is not working. You have to do something different. What is it that you can do?
Okay.
And then you find ways as teachers.
Right.
That's how it starts.
Very good. Your choice of, your career choice by itself, from a fellowship for Teach for India into entrepreneurship, it's not been a straightforward path. It's very evident that it's not been a straightforward, and we've had this discussion before as well. Now, for you to jump in from that fellowship, from being a government teacher at a fellow teacher at a government school, to understanding these pain points, and then realize that, okay, this is where I want to jump in, and play or game is something that is much more engaging for a kid, because at the end of the day, engagement is what you want, what you felt was the right answer for the child to learn well. So what was that one moment where what drove you to take that leap?
So for me, as I said, right, those 2 years, it was very clear to me. So scale can come about at that point, at least my thinking was, it can either come about through policy,
Right.
or it could come about through technology.
Right.
Now, I had no direct experience with policy, and for me, that was kind of a tricky labyrinth. Like, I couldn't understand, how I could go in, maybe contribute to education policy, which could rather, at some point, uncertain time in the future, it will affect somebody else, some kid somewhere in the country.
Right.
Instead of that, I wanted to spend time on things which I could see get some immediate feedback over what I was doing, and measure my impact.
Precisely. Scale is something that has to be measured.
It has to be measured.
At a policy level of increase, there's no measurability. You can't conclude to a measuring factor that this is what makes up. And it's a very interesting point to talk about. Yeah.
So at that time, it also so happened that I got in touch with a startup. It was yet to launch its first product, and that happened to be a game. It happened to be a video game.
Okay.
And that game mainly was a math game. So it was a math practice game.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind that game was, so we do times tables, right?
Yeah.
Times tables. What about, so instead of doing or like learning those tables in, let's say, like over a week, can you compress the timeline and help the kid learn in the shortest time possibly? So, and I think we'll talk about this in a bit. Game-based learning, as I said, at the core of it is engagement. At the same time, engagement layered with educational outcomes.
Right.
So you're trying to make the game in a fun way, but at the same time, there is a certain learning outcome at the end of it.
And there are a lot of games, to be honest. And if you look at what is more relevant what do you think is more relevant for game-based learning? Is it the outdoor activities of play, or do you think for learning there's some other thing that you can look at? There are puzzles that collaboratively work towards what are the different toys you can work with, what are the different puzzles you can build with, how is it that they can contribute to the child's actual learning, and how can it be measured if you have to derive something around it? What would you say?
So I'll break this into two parts. The first thing is, so you mentioned puzzles, outdoor activities, other games, different things, right? The end of the thing, the first part of the question is, the answer is, all of these are tied to engagement.
Yes. Okay.
So if something is really engaging in whatever format, and if it is designed with a certain learning outcome in mind, and it is engaging as well, then you will reach that outcome. That much for me is it's logical. This part is logical.
Yeah.
Now, what is that outcome? Is it like academic? Like, let's say, are you trying to teach English? Then there is this app called Duolingo.
Yeah.
Are you trying to, like, make the kid understand, let's say, how to work well in a team? Uh, and this can come in multiple ways. Like, for example, you are probably playing a strategy game online, like World of Warcraft, or you could be playing kabaddi in the local playground. You are trying to work with different
different teams.
scenarios.
Correct.
How do you work together as a team? So if team building is your outcome that you're trying to go towards, then you will see very clear answers for each of these things. How do you want to build it? Now, puzzles. What are puzzles basically? Puzzles are problem solving activities.
Yes.
A lot of games at the core are actually puzzles as well, right? Let's say, for example, a detective novel like Sherlock Holmes. What is he doing? He's solving a puzzle.
Yes.
There is a story that something happened, something bad happened. People are coming for help to ask the detective, can you solve it for us? I don't know what happened. This completely is, this is beyond me. Now that's, Sherlock Holmes will look at it as a puzzle. A detective will look at it as a puzzle.
Yeah.
He will look at what are the things that are missing. How does all of these things fit together?
Right.
And okay, so now did I find out what I set out to do? So is it a murder? Like who did X in the story? How did I find it?
Right.
That is a puzzle. Now, what did we do in this entire exercise? Right, like this is creative, critical thinking.
Yeah.
Logical thinking, reasoning. You're reasoning. That's what puzzles do. Puzzles come in multiple shapes and forms.
Yeah.
What I mentioned is like a storytelling puzzle.
Correct. Yeah.
In a detective format.
Yeah.
Now, there are different puzzles like Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
Right? You're thinking in terms of permutations and trying to do it in the fastest possible way.
Right.
Now, there are jigsaw puzzles.
Right.
The jigsaw puzzles is, there is no context. I mean, like, there is context. There is no, like, rules.
Yeah.
Where, okay, this is
where you start and where you end that you can define.
Right?
Yeah.
You are given a certain set of pieces, which is unorderly. There is chaos on the table. And you have to bring order.
Yeah.
You have to make it into one finished puzzle.
Correct.
So from chaos to like a fully finished set, your mind starts open and it tries to figure out a solution. It goes piece by piece. It's now logically thinking, okay, how do I finish this problem? Okay, now what piece comes next? These are all the questions which are actually important for critical thinking, for reasoning, for logical thinking. Right. Those are the gains. Now, those are what you actually transfer it to on-job skills as well.
Right. Very true.
You are working in a team.
Yeah.
Suddenly, there is like a deadline that's forced upon you from upper management.
Yeah.
Now, you have a certain set of resources at your disposal. Partially engaged, fully engaged,
correct,
or on the bench.
Right.
Okay. Resources, timeline, deadline. How do I work towards this?
Right.
I have usually takes, let's say, 1 week, but I have 2 days to do it.
Right.
How would you do it? So now you have 2 answers instead of 1. I can get the same work done in 1 week, but I also know a solution in which I can do it in 2 days.
Right. No, you're essentially, correct me if I'm wrong on this, you essentially given me an example of being a barista in a coffee. And you've given me a game-based learning. So what you're telling me is you're essentially building the next generation, or basically children, to learn cognitive skills and critical skills needed for their future uh, in a pattern that is very understandable, which is entertaining and engaging for them, so that when they actually hit reality of life, it becomes another part of their day-to-day curriculum.
Yeah, like
And not something that they have to earn or learn and get certified as such.
Correct.
So if you're able to build that, that's phenomenal.
Correct.
Right. And if you ask me, how much, if you, I mean, I got the example answer from your narrative itself. Uh, most of the schools are struggling with essentially enabling critical skills like STEM into day-to-day activities or day-to-day learning for children. And there are a lot of companies that are coming out with new kind of interactions, new kind of engagements, which are essentially coming as a part of the learning, but not actually giving the context of the learning. And correct me if I'm wrong, what you are building is context-based gaming,
Correct.
which is relevant for them to learn because they need it as they grow forward. Am I right in saying that?
Correct.
Right? That's a huge deal, and congratulations on coming up with the idea itself and implementing it this far. To be honest, and if you look at the ecosystem part of it, if in case we look at it from a higher perspective, just a few years ago, most of the toys that we as Indians or a country is using right now have been made in China or imported from China. Now, India is now also becoming an exporter. From your perspective as a founder, what does the shift mean to you? And what does the shift mean for the actual learning of children as they grow up?
So, firstly, as you rightly pointed out, India was a net importer of toys.
Yeah.
And slowly, and as you mentioned, it's now a net exporter as well.
Yeah.
What changed was during COVID, and there was also the India-China tussle that happened along the border. That's when things started to change. Up until, and it was already in the policy, like that we wanted more independent. More independence from the Chinese supply chains, and make it more local. That's always been there. Imagine this, right? Like, as you mentioned, 90% or 80% of them were used to be Chinese toys. Now, when you say there was no contextualization, there was no context.
Very cool.
Yes. A lot of them were actually targeted towards, let's say, the West.
The West,
And on the way, they were also getting pit stop.
Yeah.
Or there were cheaper alternatives, because India is a very price sensitive market.
Correct.
So the quality of the toys was okay. Like, you would get different qualities, but the choice or the selection was always limited.
Right.
And majorly there is no context building. But whereas you compare toys and games in the Western markets, or more developed nations, lot of toys, even jigsaw, as simple products as jigsaw puzzles, have a certain context or a certain theme around which they're designed and built. A lot of detail goes into it, which finally what does it do, right? Like, it enhances your experience as a player. That's not happening to us. So this was the thing before this change happened. Like, in India, most of the games functional, one-time use, few-time uses. Done.
Gets bored of it and you're done.
You're bored, and the kid is bored.
Yeah.
The mindset is that it's not worthy investment. Why should I waste money on? I should right. But post COVID, or post that that shift in policy, where we are now focusing on Make in India, and toys is now a sunrise sector in India, because a lot of the imports started completely stopped, because those imports completely stopped.
Okay.
This caused a lot of people who were importing, like mainly traders or distributors, to start looking for local alternatives. Now, what does this do, right? Like, you don't find any. Suddenly, if you stop the supply, there is no supply locally. That's when a lot of traders and distributors, they started setting up their own manufacturing units to meet demand. That's a grassroots level change that's happened.
True. Yeah.
Before that, there was no momentum towards things are going as expected for a lot of people, no need to change anything in their workflows. But once this supply chain disruption happened, there is a demand.
Yes.
Lot of kids, there is a sizable market in India. But just to cope up with the demand, distributors, the people within the value chain, they started also looking for manufacturing alternatives locally.
Right.
So in a way, the market was now open. So you could come up with concepts. You could whoever were already in the market, like 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old companies, they started seeing this change quite a bit. Whoever are upstarts, like when we launched during COVID, something similar, right? Like for us, the acceptance was there. Initially, the market was open to us. We could get into we could put our product into a lot of customers' hands. And the feedback was, oh, wow, I didn't know this existed.
Right. Precisely.
Right? And there seems to be something which is something that I can relate as an Indian.
Right.
Or as a parent. So these are things that has happened recently, like the last 5-6 years. Lot of homegrown brands, homegrown companies who are doing their best, not just making products which are acceptable, but almost, I would say, like at world class levels.
Right.
And that's how there are some big names in the industry now, which were not there like 5 to 6 years back, who are now literally exporting to 30-40 countries. That's a big win for the country.
Right.
Some of these companies that are really doing well,
Right.
they've seen this entire journey.
Right.
No support to good government support.
Right.
Struggling to get market acceptance to becoming exporters to 30-40 countries across the world.
Right.
A lot of these companies have seen this journey. And that number is growing by the day. So that I think is like the sharp contrast. And now I think India has the chance to become that China plus one strategy. A lot of countries are adopting that China plus one strategy, where it becomes like that.
There has to be another alternative. Yeah. There has to be one more.
For toys.
Just exactly. Right. And, if you look at, like you said, the industry has diverted, the value chain has realized the importance of plus one. Now, India by itself is a huge market. We are one of the most popular. We are the most populous country in the world. We have an average of 100 births per second, around that number. That's a huge deal. Now, the market is essentially ever growing, which is the reality at the end of the day. At the very same time, the market understanding that there has to be an alternative here within is a huge deal by itself. How is Hyderabad? You're based out of Hyderabad. So how is Hyderabad as a market for manufacturing? I'm sure that definitely came with its own struggle because, like you said, China plus one. So the manufacturing industry has to start scaling up here. The establishment has to set up. Then it has to be integrated into the value chain. That's a huge deal. For you as a founder, what is that one challenge, right, for you to look at, on a day-to-day basis? And what is that one challenge you believe that people outside the industry will never be able to accept or relate with?
So during this transition time, right, mainly before these big changes happened, the entire toy industry was mainly a very unorganized sector. Spread across some small pockets across the country, like north here.
Right.
There is some small indigenous crafts, artisan-based toys that are being done in different parts of the country.
Right.
It was a very, I would say, unorganized sector. So that means that the supply chains are not well established. Now, if you are getting into the industry, like you want to know, okay, so where is your raw material coming from? Where is your packaging coming from? Where is your individual components of the game that are coming from? And you want all of this to be established with clear processes at competitive prices. So this is somewhat of a mark of a established supply chain, of proper healthy supply chain.
Yeah.
Where when I started, especially in Hyderabad, and I also happened to start in a category which was very, very nascent. There were hardly any competitors or lookalike players when I started in the category of wooden jigsaw puzzles.
Right.
There were hardly anything. But compared that to with like an established or like a more mature market like the US, where there are hundreds of alternatives. So in India, we were like pretty much the first player in the category. And what that meant was I did not have like an established, let's say, one single point of contact or like a vendor whom I could say, I have my design ready, like I want to do a small batch, test it. There was nothing like that. So I had to go knock, I had to break down the manufacturing process into individual steps, find the different vendors go knocking on different vendors' doors for individual steps, get the best quotation, agreements. So all of this was, none of this was like, clearly sorted. So this was the challenge. And I had to do all of this during the second wave of COVID.
Oh,
That was an additional challenge.
yeah.
So because of this, what happened was for me there were shipping delays because of lockdown rules and everything. Interstate shipping delays were there. Material did not come on time. So a lot of these shipping delays were there. These were all the challenges when I started. So always like if I had to do something like this again, I would look at, okay, so do I have like a clear supply chain? Do I have that support within the ecosystem? And can I effectively do it at a very competitive cost compared to, let's say, like some other state or some other country? What is that advantage that I have if I manufacture locally? That's what you have to fundamentally look at. Right. Is there access to talent? It could be in the operational side. It could be in the design side. Design side, abundant talent. In India, fantastic designers across the country, even across the world also. But because we've been like a homegrown brand, we wanted to work with a lot of Indian artists. For us, the design part has always been sorted. Fantastic. But when it comes to the operational part, finding for example, you have a machine operator for a certain kind of a product, certain settings that are there. You won't get them readily available. You have to train them and you have to retain them. You have to incentivize them, right? This is not there. But compared to China, right? Like you have individual product clusters. If you're making like a ride-on motorcycle or like a ride-on bicycle or like a ride-on car, all of the parts are pretty much locally available, pretty much in the same cluster.
Yeah.
Very efficient way of assembling a product.
Correct. Yeah.
Logistic costs are to a minimum. It all happens at scale.
As long as it's integrated, yes, it becomes easy. Yeah.
So now that is the journey that India and Hyderabad and other parts of the country that we are on. So we are transitioning from an unorganized sector to an organized sector.
Right.
There will be some growing pains, but I feel like, we are on that journey and
the right track.
We are on the right track.
Perfect. And you mentioned about, products from China being made for the West. So if you look at, if you have to compare India, the Indian toy making ecosystem in comparison to places like Europe or the US, what's the one thing that we are doing differently?
So for us, fundamentally, there is this local toys that are there. Like there is a certain value that we have put, because India is a very culturally diverse country.
Right.
Culture changes for every 100 kilometers in India. Like water, the way we eat, the way that the way dialects are spoken, lot of these things change.
Yeah.
And also the toys in that particular or the things that are used for play, they also change. And that's why you will find like, toys like Kondapalli toys.
Yeah.
Right? Or Chennapatna toys.
Correct. Etikoppaka
toys.
Correct.
So, and now government has recognized them as toy clusters.
Correct.
That is unique only to India.
Right.
So you go anywhere, any different state, like you'll find some interesting version of culture which is captured in toys. It could be in toys, it could be in art, media, like, canvas paintings, saris, patterns, multiple ways, right? So this is something which is very unique to India and India only.
Right.
The diversity in toys is there and locally, made by local artisans and promotion by the government.
Right.
which is not very common for China or like other manufacturing hubs, because there it's more of a homogeneous population, and that focus on artisanal toys, which are more local towards a certain geography, that has gone away with time.
Right.
That is the advantage of India. Like
So the adaptation is happening organically.
yeah, it's very organic here.
Right.
Although a lot more work needs to be done, but that's definitely stands out to be one of our advantages.
Correct.
Other than the fact that obviously, like, we have abundant competitive, low cost competitive labor,
Right.
which if we can train them and utilize them, fantastic. Like, great things can be done.
Perfect. And you spoke about culture, India being a diverse culture by itself. Now, your products, or I would say your toys, are the one like I Love Hyderabad. It's one of the product that you have. Indian Coffee House is one of the product that you have. Now, how do kids respond to your products in comparison to the overpopulated cartoon characters that are there that they're exposed to so far, and also the superheroes that are available so far? Because, like you mentioned, India was an huge importer of these toys, and these toys were built for the Western world. Now, the cultural change happens not just with adaptation, but also the adaptation of the users by itself, right? So, how difficult is that, and how do they respond to that?
So if you put them, so the couple of products that you mentioned, right? I Love Hyderabad and India Coffee House. So these products, the way we designed them was with the local context in mind, not too abstract. Like, for example, if let's say like India map or like world map, that is too abstract of a concept for kids to grasp.
Right.
But if I say like you're from Hyderabad and I'm talking to you directly as like, you are in Hyderabad, have you been there? Have you seen this? Have you done that? Now you're immediately relating to what's there in the puzzle.
Correct.
That said, that's how the engagement works with our products. That said, if I put, let's say, our puzzles or products with some products, let's say, which are IP driven, like Spider-Man, as you mentioned, right? Like Frozen, these are all popular IP, Disney IPs.
Correct.
Obviously, like if I go face to face, I stand no chance.
Right.
Because they are deeply penetrated into like kids' childhoods, the way they marketed.
Heavily marketed.
Heavily marketed, right? You find all kinds of merchandise, from bottles to spoons to bags. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Plus, they have network effects.
Yeah.
As in, like, if I see 10 kids in the school, like carrying, let's say, an Iron Man bag, or like, a Hulk pencil box, or like some kind of merchandise or a t-shirt. Nowadays, even birthday cakes are designed keeping Disney characters in mind. Now, I can't compete with that.
Right.
Just being real, right? Like, there is no other way but to sell, okay, how am I different? And what does it mean to you?
Right.
Now, if you give us a chance, we will show you that we are also equally good. We might not have the bells and whistles that come with big IP driven toys, which is majority of the market. Majority of the toy market is driven by IP driven toys.
Right.
If you give us a chance, we'll show you like how we are different.
Right. But correct me if I'm wrong, but Hanuman, the character by itself, and then Chota Bheem to an extent, Krishna to an extent, these characters are somehow already penetrated the market. If you ask me, I mean, just an observation as a parent, if I can see 10 Iron Man with their people of 10 children that are there, if 10 of them, 5 of them are using Iron Man, the rest 5 are distributed across the Indian, Indian superheroes that are there. That's a huge penetration by itself.
Yeah, IP driven. IP driven.
And that itself says that they're not just ready to adapt. It's just that we have to show them the right way to show it. I mean, that's where the ecosystem also makes a lot of impact.
Correct.
And correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, but Make in India is not just about affordability. It is also building itself to a point where it is establishing global standards. Do you think that is something that is
100%? 100%. So, I mean, look at what's happening recently, right? Like, if you from a outside point of view, what we see is like big population, big market. So these are macro, views into what's happening.
Right.
But if you zoom in and if you go category by category, you pick comics as a category, or you pick board games as a category, or you pick puzzles or any other toys as categories, individual categories, and you look at what's happening now in that segment versus what was the situation 5 to 6 years or 10 years back.
Right.
No comparison at all.
Right.
Right. So now even comics are Indianized, even animated films. Like recently we have seen Mahavatar Narsimha, the movie, which has done fantastic business.
Right.
Like all you have to show is not just in terms of affordability, but relatability.
Correct.
Like you'll have
I
to
agree.
bring out that thing where I can relate to what you're doing.
Yeah.
That is the fundamental. And again, some way or shape or form, it boils down to, am I engaged with your product?
Right.
It boils down to that. So you have to not just make it affordable, you have to make it relatable as well.
Yeah. And with relativity, you automatically get relevancy.
Relevance as well.
And that's the biggest part of learning by itself.
Correct. 100%.
Now, what do you think? The Indian culture by itself is vastly dynamic. And there's a lot of science, theoretically, there's a lot of science that goes into the Indian culture and the practices that we follow. When you're looking at the global market, because at the end of the day, it's China plus one. So if India is the way forward, do you see the Indian toy products specifically limited only to the Indian dystopia that's there in the world? Or do you think there is a global acceptance and global appeal that is universally acceptable for the Indian products or Indian toys that are going to be built for the future?
So, great question. Again, I'll break it down into two things.
That's one is a two-part question. Yeah.
One which is engagement, and we spoke about affordability and relatability, right?
Yes.
So if I can't find something which is like designed for Germany, relatable. Now a German will not find something which I've designed for an Indian who is familiar with Indian culture,
Right.
relatable.
Right.
Now that's the situation.
That's a catch-22.
Catch-22. But generally speaking, there are certain areas where we can build towards products which also show Indian culture. Not to making it, there is a balance. You will have to find that balance between making it alien to a customer, but also at the same time making it interesting enough to check it out.
Right.
That's the first. That's the balance.
Right.
Now coming to the second part, which is Make in India, Made in India toys going global. Now companies are already now doing it. Like there is huge. There are some companies in India who are getting like 30-40% of their revenue from like North America and South America together, right?
Right.
This was unheard of like 10 years back.
Right.
Forget 10 years back. 5 to 6 years back, this was not possible.
Right.
Just because there was not enough penetration of our products into those markets.
Correct. Yeah.
Now our designers, our product developers, our companies that are who are already in the field, they have done such a good job of finding that product market fit, where they hit the sweet spot between what the parent wants, what the kid finds engaging,
Right.
the price,
Right.
and value.
Right.
This is what if you crack these four pieces together, you put these things together, you have a winning product in your hands.
Wonderful. So if I have to fast forward 10 years from now, what is the typical playroom of an Indian household going to look like for you? Where do you visualize that as your vision?
To be honest, we can't, the way things are changing in the world today, we can't imagine or visualize how playrooms or houses will be there 1 or 2 years down the line. So it would be more of a so it would be unwise to sort of make a extrapolation 10 years into the future. But what I definitely see happening is a gradual shift towards not just or at least it's a shift moving away from the established ways of teaching and learning to more effective ways of engagement and outcome driven learning.
Wonderful.
And parents realize this, right? Like you as a parent, you know
Right.
that the problem is, oh my God, these apps, these phones are
Yes.
very addictive.
Correct.
They're designed that way.
Right.
Facebook is designed in a way by a team of scientists and designers and psychologists. They've put their life's work into designing that single notification.
Correct.
And that is what your mind is looking for when you say dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Oh, suddenly a notification has come on my phone. I'm going to open it.
Right.
Now imagine kids who are digital natives.
Right.
Like they are born with AI enabled smartphones now, today, as on today.
Right.
Imagine what it's going to be like 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. There is no way in the world where you can break that cycle of attention that these apps have become so good at farming. They're farming attention. Now, how do you break out of this? Parents view this as a serious issue.
Yes. Yeah.
Screen time, we call it screen time. It's a very sanitized word, but the kind of effects that it can have downstream, right? Like if your kid who is hooked on to watching, let's say, a fancy cartoon on YouTube, which is a regular show which garners millions of views, how do you break his or her attention from that and engage him in something which is meaningful without losing interest?
Right.
Very hard job. Like it's very hard to predict also how things will go going forward. But people, you as a parent instinctively know that certain methods won't work.
Yeah.
What else?
Right.
What else will work? So the same way I as a teacher realized that the traditional standard methods of teaching won't work. I had to make it more engaging. The parent, the teacher, the school, the larger district or like planning officials who are working towards creating policy, they are also working towards designing an education policy or systems which will work towards keeping the kid at the center and his attention at the center.
Right.
This is already happening. So if you see the national education policy, right, a lot of structural changes have happened. The last few revisions or like updates.
Yeah.
And the focus of the government and also the push is towards making learning more playful, more learning by doing.
Correct.
In a way that is acknowledging that, you have to engage kids.
Yeah.
There is no chance in the world where you give like a really addictive app or you put them in an ecosystem where everywhere they're surrounded by screens.
Right.
And then you expect them to magically learn something in a classroom in 30 or 40 minutes. That is stupid.
That is stupid. Yeah, absolutely.
So even the governments have recognized that, educators know that. We are in that process of figuring out, okay, what's working, what's not working.
Right.
So we are in that journey, right?
I wish you very best for that. And I'm looking forward to that because I will be bringing up a 9-year-old to be the one to face the world. And I'm absolutely certain that the kind of initiative and the depth of subject that you've given with Ameya Games is essentially going to be there to lead that innovation from Hyderabad. And again, Aditya, thank you so much for taking your time out.
My pleasure.
It was a pleasure to already have learned a lot. Probably it was something that will enable me as a father to look at learning from a perspective that is engaging, more relevant and relatable for my child as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.